That's actually pretty cool, that wine glass.
It is pretty cool, except I can't open it.
Well,
anyway,
honestly,
it's been lovely, ladies, but that's it from us today. Tomorrow we are joined by Queen of the Jungle, Jill Scott, and Corrie stars Sally Dinova and Sue Devaney. Oh, I hope you have a lovely day. I'm going to play with these gadgets all afternoon. Bye.
Heading down under over on ITV tonight as the new bombshell steals a partner. Love Island Australia is at 10. Stay with us here on ITV1 this lunchtime for the news next.
Freeman's proud sponsors of Loose Women.
Coming up, police confirm a break-in at the England star Raheem Sterling's house. A dirty game, Prince Harry on the media and the royal family in his latest Netflix trailer. And rail strikes look set to go ahead as the union rejects a pay deal. That's after the break.
Now with a look at all the very latest from around the world and here at home, it's the ITV Lunchtime News.
Getting ready for France. England's footballers are back in training today after booking their place in the World Cup quarter-finals. Celebrations at England's team hotel followed the victory over Senegal, but all the players' thoughts with the absent Raheem Sterling, who's left Qatar after burglars targeted his home.
He needs time with his family to deal with, and I don't want to put him under any pressure with that. Sometimes football isn't the most important thing.
Also this lunchtime, a dirty game. Prince Harry's latest attack on the royal family as he promotes a new TV documentary.
The pain and suffering of women marrying into this institution, this feeding frenzy.
Is time finally up for the House of Lords? Labour's promise to abolish the second chamber. And an Arctic chill is on the way. Is this winter about to bring some early snowfall?
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Geraint Vincent.
Good afternoon. England's footballers started preparing this morning for a World Cup quarter-final showdown against the reigning world champions, France. But they do so without one of their most reliable big-game players, Raheem Sterling. The Chelsea winger has left the squad after burglars broke into his home over the weekend. Jewellery and watches were stolen in the break-in, but police have confirmed that Sterling's family were not at home at the time. Danny Sinha reports.
After a resounding win, England players were given a fanfare welcome back at their hotel. Jack Grealish showing off his moves. That 3-0 victory against Senegal prompted a Three Lions roar for fans watching in the fan zone.
I think with the squad we've got, we shouldn't fear anyone in this tournament.
It's going to be tough against France, but I think we can do it. It's going to come home.
Boost, yeah. At least 3 goals again, I think.
Yeah.
And this is how they did it. Jordan Henderson set England on the right path, scoring the first goal.
Here's Jordan Henderson.
Then captain Harry Kane finally got his first goal of the tournament.
It's Harry Kane and England lead 2-0.
But slick footwork by Phil Foden set up Bukayo Saka's third goal, putting England through to the quarter-finals. Celebration was written on all their faces.
And 3 goals for England now on the night. Well, bring on the French.
But there was one key player missing. Raheem Sterling is on his way back after his family home was targeted by armed robbers, and it's not known if he'll return.
I really don't know, because at the moment it's a situation that he needs time with his family to deal with, and I don't want to put him under any pressure with that. Sometimes football isn't the most important thing, and family should come first.
England are the highest scoring team so far in the World Cup, but they'll need to show their mettle when they next face France. They beat Poland 3-1 last night and are one of the favourites to win the competition.
Another thunderous strike from the boots of Kylian Mbappe.
But the England team are ready for them. Returning to training today, they're giving fans real reason to believe they can bring it home. Danny Sinha, ITV News.
Well, Ellie Pitt is in Surrey with the latest on that break-in at Raheem Sterling's home. Ellie, what are the police saying?
Well, Geraint, officers today have confirmed that they are investigating a report of a burglary. It's after they were contacted just before 9 o'clock on Saturday evening, after Raheem Sterling's family came home and discovered that jewellery and watches had been stolen. Now, early reports suggested that his family had been at home when the burglary took place, but Surrey police have confirmed to us this morning that no threat of violence was involved, as the items were discovered that they'd been taken after they come home. We understand that Mr. Sterling wanted to come home from Qatar to be with his family after this incident, and that although there's been no police activity here this morning, their inquiries are ongoing.
OK, Ellie, many thanks. Prince Harry has talked about the leaking and planting of stories and the suffering of women who marry into the royal family in a new trailer for his upcoming Netflix series. The documentary, called Harry and Meghan, is based on interviews with the couple about their relationship with each other and their relatives. Well, Sally Biddulph is with me now. Sally, it gives us quite a sense of what's to come, doesn't it, this trailer?
Indeed it does, and it's coming very soon. It starts on Thursday. Now, this docu-series called Harry and Meghan charts the love story of the couple, the early days of their marriage within the royal family, and then their dramatic departure from it. Now, we got a taste last week when the first trailer was released, and that all but overshadowed the trip of the Prince and Princess of Wales to Boston, where Prince William was giving out his Earthshot Awards. Today's trailer is arguably much more explosive, and in it, as you say, Harry talks about the pain and suffering of women who marry into the royal family. Let's take a look.
There's a hierarchy of the family. You know, there's leaking, but there's also planting of stories.
There was a war against Meghan to suit other people's agendas.
It's about hatred. It's about race.
It's a dirty game. The pain and suffering of women marrying into this institution, this feeding frenzy.
I realized they're never going to protect you.
I was terrified. I didn't want history to repeat itself.
Well, the documentary starts this Thursday on December the 8th. That's when Volume 1 is released. We think it'll be 3 episodes. And then the following week, December the 15th, is Volume 2, all available on Netflix before Christmas. Then after Christmas, on January the 10th, Harry's memoir is published entitled Spare. So you can brace and expect many, many headlines and questions for the palace.
OK, Sally, thank you. Christmas rail strikes look set to go ahead after the RMT union rejected a pay deal from the rail delivery group. They're offering pay increases of up to 8%, but union bosses say that the plans don't deliver on job security and working conditions. The strikes are set to take place next week from the 13th to the 14th of December, and also at the end of the week on the 16th and 17th. And more dates are planned into the new year across January the 3rd and 4th and the 6th to the 7th. Well, Martin Stew is at Euston train station in central London. Martin, is there any hope at this stage of averting this rail disruption around Christmas?
Well, if there is any hope, I'm afraid it's got to be sorted pretty soon, because if a deal isn't struck tonight, festive timetables have to be published, and then we are looking at disruption as we head into the Christmas period. What we do know today is that the rail delivery group, who represent 14 different train companies, have put out a deal. We know that it includes an 8% pay rise. You said that's split between 4% this year, backdated, and 4% next year. But it comes with conditions, the closure, for example, of ticket offices, train drivers having to operate the doors themselves on trains, and more Sunday working. Now, the RMT says the pay offer and the conditions offer isn't good enough, and so at the moment there is a stalemate, leaving millions of rail passengers stuck in the middle. And this morning, when we told them what the deal was, sympathies, it's fair to say, were reasonably split.
You know what, if they're doing it for themselves, then I guess it's a good thing. Yeah, if they're trying to get their pay rise.
The country needs to keep running. I want them to get what's right, but I also want to be able to get home to my family.
It's a lot more than I got last time I got a pay rise. I don't know.
Now, as well as the talks with the train companies, there's also talks going on with Network Rail. Their staff run the railway itself. They've been offered a 9% pay deal, and they're deciding whether to take that. If they can't have a deal, as I say, there is strike action, and that comes at a real cost, not least to UK hospitality, who say it could set them back £1.5 billion. Everybody wants a resolution, and they want it fast.
OK, Martin, many thanks. Well, rail workers are far from the only group taking industrial action this winter. Nurses and postal workers have already got strikes planned, and today firefighters will start voting on whether they will walk out as well. 33,000 members of the Fire Brigades Union are being asked if they want to take industrial action over a 5% pay rise offer. Well, the FBU General Secretary Matt Rack joins us now from the FBU's headquarters in Kingston in southwest London. Tell us, what are you telling your members, first of all?
Hi, good afternoon. Well, what we're facing is, if you look at inflation figures, inflation is now running above 11%, and therefore anything below that means a cut in people's real wages. So we're saying that we've had enough of that. We've had enough of a tax on our pay for 12 years now, and that's not good enough, and the government needs to step in and fund the fire and rescue service properly, and our employers need to sit down and negotiate a settlement that protects our members' living standards. Our members, firefighters, emergency fire control staff, were considered key workers during the pandemic. They kept the fire and rescue service going. They also took on additional roles and functions to support the health service, to support colleagues elsewhere in public service, including training people to drive ambulances, driving ambulances, training people in PPE, and on some occasions moving the bodies of the deceased. And for that, of course, we were applauded along with other key workers. But now we're being told that we've got to tighten our belts and accept a cut in our living standards. And it's simply not good enough. That's why the anger is there.
I see. When are you planning the walkouts to happen?
Well, the ballot won't conclude until January, so the ballot starts today. Our members will be getting postal ballots through the mail over the next few days, and that will conclude on the 30th of January.
I remember the last rail fire service strike, I should say, nearly 20 years ago. There was a constant worry about public safety. It's going to be put at risk again now, isn't it?
Well, it is obviously worrying, and none of us want to be in this position in the Fire Brigades Union. But there's only so much you can take of being told that you have to take pay cuts. Our members are now struggling to pay the mortgage, pay the rent, pay the bills, and to make ends meet. And we think that's completely unjust and needs to be addressed. The responsibility for public safety actually rests with the fire authorities and with the government. They will be putting their plans in place. The way to avoid that, of course, is to sit down and negotiate a pay settlement, and we're very happy to do that.
OK, Matt Rack from the FBU, many thanks for your time.
Thank you.
The biggest ever transfer of power from Westminster to the British people. It's a grand claim, and it's one that was made by Keir Starmer this morning as he outlined some of his plans for government should Labour win the next election. They include a promise to abolish the House of Lords, an unelected chamber, of course, which the Labour leader has described as indefensible. Harry Horton reports.
It's been around since the 11th century. Parliament's unelected upper chamber with more than 800 members. But now Labour says it's time to replace it. It's one of 40 recommendations made today by former Prime Minister Gordon Brown to shift power out of Westminster.
We're calling a halt to the over-centralisation of power at the centre that has brought us Conservative sleaze and Conservative scandal, and we're ending the long era of the man in Whitehall somehow knowing best.
Labour's report has been in the works for 2 years. If implemented, it would replace the House of Lords with an elected assembly of nations and regions, introduce new rules for politicians and clamp down on MPs' second jobs, and devolve economic powers across the UK in a bid to boost growth.
I don't see it as handing power away. I see it as putting power where it should be. And I think that's very, very important to say, because we're only going to repair our economy, repair our politics, if we recognise that decisions about communities and places are best made by those with skin in the game.
And after years of promises on levelling up, people in Barnsley today wanted to see devolution delivered.
If we're brutally honest, if you live outside London, they don't care. They don't care what's happening up here. They don't understand what it's like to live here.
The people around here know what we need, where we need the money, where we need the funding.
Back in Westminster, some lords say now isn't the time for radical reforms.
Doing this just before a new election, when in fact Labour is actually in government, is a very poor idea, because there are much more important things that people are worried about, such as poverty, such as schools, such as the NHS.
Labour insists its proposals are bold and necessary, but many similar attempts at reform have failed before. Well, it was David Cameron's coalition government with Nick Clegg that most recently tried and failed to reform the House of Lords. Labour actually says that its proposals on devolution, although less eye-catching, that will actually have a far bigger impact if implemented. Now, the government says it already is devolving lots of power out of Westminster and has accused Labour of playing politics here, while it focuses on issues that it says the public care about more, like immigration and the economy. Now, Labour will launch a consultation to implement a time frame, but I think what they're hoping for is that by laying out these issues today, they give the public an idea of what a Labour government might look like if it were to win the next election.
OK, Harry, thank you. The world's largest study yet into the effects of long COVID on children has found that new symptoms may appear up to a year after the initial infection. The Lancet study, which was led by University College London, tracked symptoms over the course of a year and found that while some of the children's original symptoms declined, other problems developed. Well, Dr. Snehal Pinto-Pereira from UCL is with us here. Tell us what the study found and what were these other symptoms?
Thank you. So we had two really important findings from the study. The first thing was that at all time points, test-positive children reported more health issues than test-negative children. So, for example, test-positive children, about 11% of them said that they felt tired when they took their PCR test 6 months later and 12 months later. And you compare that to test-negative children, where about 1% of them said that they felt tired at the time of their test and 6 months later and 12 months later.
And you discovered emotional and behavioural difficulties?
Yes,
or evidence
exactly.
Of that?
Yes. So the other thing that we found was that the symptom profiles changed over the course of the year, and we saw this not just for tiredness and shortness of breath, but also for poor well-being, poor quality of life, emotional and behavioural difficulties.
Worrying findings. I mean, it's a reminder, isn't it, now that we are so much of this illness remains a mystery to us, and the work you're doing is really just discovering that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this illness was only started 2 years ago, and there's still much to learn. And in this study, what we're going to do is we're going to follow them for 2 years in total to find out what's happening with these children.
And do you think that it's very early to say, but do you think that there are definite differences between the effect that this illness is having on children and the effect that it's having on adults? Are they clearly identifiable?
So this study focused exclusively on children. It's one of the few studies in the world actually that focus on children, because much of the research in terms of COVID is done on adults. So it's quite nice to have this study that focuses on children.
But in the early days of the pandemic, we were kind of reassuring ourselves that children would be largely unaffected by the illness. That's not the case that you're discovering.
So yes, children do report symptoms up to a year that we've found.
OK, Dr. Pinto-Pereira, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us. Now, if you've been out and about today, you'll have felt that there's a bit of a chill in the air. That's as warm as it's going to get this week, with temperatures set to plummet from tomorrow and Met Office warnings for snow in place. Our weather presenter, Amanda Houston, joins us now. Amanda, just how cold is it going to get?
Well, it's certainly going to be a shock to the system as we go through the next few days, especially as we've had such an exceptional year so far in terms of those temperatures. But yes, as we go through the next few days, it's going to be feeling bitter out there. So at the moment, we've got east to northeasterly winds, and they've been really taking the edge off those temperatures. But from Tuesday into Wednesday, we start to draw in our air from a northerly direction. So temperatures will plummet by day. We're looking at highs between 2 and 5 degrees. And at night time, could get as low as -8, even -9. So of course there will be a widespread frost. May even be a few snow showers around too. In particular, we do have a weather warning in force for northern parts of Scotland here. Could be seeing some heavy snow showers and blizzard-like conditions, although nothing too unusual for the time of year here.
Can't hear that. And people will remember, Amanda, how cold it got, 4 years ago in 2018 with the beast from the east, as we all called it. Is it going to be as bad as that, do you think?
Yes, I mean, that was certainly very cold, wasn't it? But, I mean, of course, 2018, we had the beast from the east, but it's a very different setup, as I just mentioned earlier. It's all down to that change in wind direction. So in 2018, it was late in the winter, so we had February, we had a lot of moisture in the air, easterly winds, and that's what's bringing that significant snowfall to many parts of the UK. Whereas this time around, although it is going to be cold, our winds are coming in from a northerly direction. So although we'll see a few showers around at times, nothing too significant. In fact, hopefully, we'll get to see a little bit more in the way of sunshine. So similar to the beast from the east, there will be that prolonged cold spell, but we won't be seeing as much snow as that.
OK, Amanda Houston, thank you very much, I think. And Amanda will be back with a full forecast, of course, after this programme. To cricket now, and England's men have pulled off one of their all-time greatest victories in Pakistan. The hosts nearly pulled off a stunning victory themselves, but some superb bowling from James Anderson and Ollie Robinson helped England to a sensational 74-run win. And in rugby, Wales have announced Warren Gatland will take over as coach after Wayne Pivac was sacked last week. It comes after a poor run of form for Wales, which saw them lose to Georgia for the first time ever. Before we go, let's return to the football. And if you were watching yesterday, you might have seen England superfan Sharon, who's out in Doha, and gave us her prediction ahead of last night's game.
Sharon, what do you reckon? What's the score going to be? Are you confident? Are you nervous? Tell me how you feel.
A bit of both, confident and nervous. 3-0 to England.
3-0?
3-0.
That is confident.
Well, we caught up with Sharon this morning, who's recovering by the swimming pool, to congratulate her on getting it spot on.
Yep, 3-0 to England. Psychic Shazza. Always knew we were going to do it.
How did you know?
Just knew. Just random thoughts and 10 pints.
Well, we perhaps wouldn't recommend that, but good luck to Sharon and the England players, of course. And that is all we've got time for this lunchtime. Mary will be here with the evening news. They're on at the earlier time of 5:45. The news where you are follows the national weather from all the team here. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Visibility may be low this evening as the cold weather hits. Heinz Soups sponsors ITV National Weather.
Hello again. Well, as you've been hearing, it's going to be turning even colder as we go through the next few days with widespread frost and even some wintry showers in places. But hopefully we'll get to see more in the way of sunshine. However, not much of that around as we go through today. Now, there may just be the odd bright spell at times, especially across parts of Northern Ireland into northern Scotland. But for most of us, we stay tucked underneath this cloud today. Still a chance perhaps of 1 or 2 showers at times, especially across more eastern areas. They're blowing in on that northeasterly breeze. And it's going to be a chilly day wherever you are. Highs there 8 or 9 degrees, but you factor in that wind chill, it's going to be feeling much colder. Now, as we go through this evening and tonight, there will be further showers around at times, especially again across the east, but tending to fade away as we edge overnight. And you can see here a mix of cloud and clear skies through the small hours. So in sheltered areas, maybe a touch of frost in places, and wherever you are, it's going to be a nippy old start to the day tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Heinz Soups sponsors ITV National Weather.
Hello again. The main stories in London now, and a school in High Wycombe has paid tribute to the friendly and constantly smiling boy who died after contracting the Strep A infection. Mohammed Ibrahim Ali is one of 6 children to have died from the infection in recent weeks. Symptoms to look out for include a sore throat, headache and fever, along with a fine pinkish or red body rash. A London charity has reported a nearly 40% increase in domestic abuse cases, which experts are linking to the increasing cost of living. Hestia, which runs 25 shelters across the capital, said its requests for support have gone up by 38%. The charity says it fears things will get worse as the cost of living continues to rise and more households come under economic pressure. The online safety bill will be debated in the House of Commons this afternoon, with ministers saying encouragement of self-harm will be made illegal if it passes. The reforms were prompted by the death of 14-year-old Molly Russell from Harrow, who took her own life in 2017 after viewing content about self-harming on Instagram and Pinterest. Police are looking for a dog owner whose animal bit a young girl and left her with serious injuries. The attack happened on Wednesday morning in Stepney Green. One of the dogs lunged at the girl as she walked past and bit her several times, breaking some bones. Police say they want to talk to the owner. A new artwork has been unveiled outside King's Cross Station to raise awareness of homelessness, as new research from Crisis shows that 300,000 households could lose their homes by next year. Advanced technology was used to make the sculpture. It combined the faces of 17 real people who experienced homelessness. Charity says the crisis is getting worse.
Well, the numbers of people facing homelessness is going up and up because the cost of living crisis is worse for people who simply can't pay their rent. And rents have gone up 15% in the last 12 months, whilst things like housing benefit have been frozen for 3 years. So unless something changes, more and more people simply won't be able to pay their bills, pay their rent, and have nowhere to live.
It is the 70th anniversary of the Great Smog of London, which killed as many as 12,000 people in December 1952. The smog was caused by extreme cold weather and large-scale pollution from burning coal. Let's take a look at the weather now with Sally.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger and energy.
Hello and a very good afternoon to you. Generally quite cloudy and dry outside, although there are a few showers sneaking in off the North Sea there. We're a little bit breezy, and that's just taking the edge off those temperatures, but on paper highs of 7 or 8 degrees. This evening, not a huge amount of change. We've still got a lot of cloud, a few showers here or there, but generally quite dry. That cloud might break up to give a few breaks, which will just help those temperatures drop even further, but wherever you are tomorrow, quite a chilly start to the day. However, we should get a little bit more sunshine in the mix, as you can see, although into the afternoon, a bit more cloud once again. Less breezy tomorrow, but with that air coming down from the north, it could well feel closer to 3 or 4 degrees. Take care. See you later.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
And that's all from us for now. Enjoy your afternoon. Bye-bye.